This is the revolutionary hour.
I'm a monster, walking, stalking them all. A competitor, stalking predator, sharpen my paws. I'm involved, listen to relevant rappers to talk, to speak upon. Money and women defended by pawns, no passion. Listen to the beat in their hearts, the current you wonder is a slumber, the reason they fall. I'm a god, listen to lyrics, I come on the cause. The fire response to a badge that exits my jaw. Into the dragon and the blessing, the English that captures the cynical fashion. Mobile rappers get put in the casket, closed. And my cracker comes a lyrical blasting. And I amped up, hands up, pointing the clapping. All you rapping ignorant panic is making me fume. Conversations to end your day, to all of the news. Addiction like booze, all your animals follow these fools. Social media, Wikipedia, cyclists you. Thousands of clues, show you primitive spitting and such. Bag artists sounding retarded and rapping for bucks. I finish these fucks when I'm swinging these lyrics and clutch. Plucking the dust, watching fumbling, kicking the crutch. Expose these artists that are actually rapping for love. They constantly suck and they breathing the pistols to bust. I'm running the run with everyone thinking they're tough. In the end, I'ma show you what's up. In the minute, definitive feelings are artists that hard. And the lyrics are coming quick with the knuckles and spar. I'ma kick in the doors, I'ma pick at your flaws. I'ma show you niggas depending on infinite bars. Spit it across, cause the biblical cost me a dog. And I witness the darkest carcass and spiritual balls. Sheep in the farm, all you people that thinking that you're better than not. The penitentiary are serving these bars in the block. The crook in the cops, or the label that's serving the slop. And your pigs roll around on the substance and swamp. Until they busting your chop, until you're punching the clock. Until your family members ready, you're searching to stop. Who the fuck did you tell you was hot? I'm the boss in the middle of it, grabbing the cross. Holocaust, you in the bottom of my shoe on a stomp. In a session, destruction pressure will cause you to pop. Flash your face, I'ma show you the after place. The passive saints, or the demon that master hates. Aftertaste, it's nasty when you speak of my name. Foes seek medical attention when experiencing pain. Bones are plain, in the fire I'm burning the blade. This animal's broken teeth and enameled, I'll open this cage. Immaculate, coming back, I rattle the mini on top. My club, I'm the illest, so the hating can stop.
BOSS Radio.
BOSS Radio, Southside Bosses, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the site or the radio station, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. This site does not endorse anything as the truth. That you will have to judge for yourself. But we try to speak the truth on the owner's behalf and reserve the right to question the supposed truth. In this time of misinformation, government-controlled media, and government corruption, it is sometimes hard to get to the truth, but we must try. It is not our intention to libel, discriminate, make hate, or annoy anyone. We believe that it is our constitutional First Amendment right of free speech to voice our opinions and our duty to the Constitution and country to expose the truth. This site takes no responsibility for the opinions of others and the postings of comments in chat rooms or forum posts.
Alrighty, what's up everybody? This is your boy Mr. E, boss of the Southside Bosses, coming to you here live on Revolutionary Hour, BOSS Radio social media platform, social matters platform, excuse me. Tonight we got a great topic to talk to y'all about, which include a lot, if not most of Americans out there. But before I do, I want to let y'all know that you can definitely follow us on and like us, subscribe to us on any streaming service, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, and more. And you can also find us on sbcmovement.com, which is our radio hub. Please go there and like it just in case Facebook fall one day. Alright, so we got several guests in the building. We'll let them introduce themselves tonight, but we're gonna be talking about biracial living in the United States of America. A lot of people talk about what Black Lives Matter. They even came up with some goofy shit called Blue Lives Matter. Never heard of a goofy avatar looking motherfucker before, but never really said anything about biracial matters. Even the Asian Americans got a hate bill, but we hardly hear anything from the biracial. So we definitely want to get that on. So, but before we introduce yourself, I want to make sure I don't want to insult y'all. Is biracial like? Do y'all like being called biracials? Like people like being called blacks?
Yeah. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I prefer. You know what I'm saying? It's like that is just too long-winded. First of all, you know, everybody just said mix. As long as they don't say mixed breed, because then that's a whole nother subject, another topic.
Oh, well, we'll get in that too. We'll definitely touch on that and find out why that's a touchy subject. But before we do, let's go ahead and get everybody's name. First, let's start with the first one that started talking. What's your name, sir?
Roberto J. Howard. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube. I have Metal Mouth 74. I'm a blues contemporary musician at night, but I do HVAC work during the day.
Already.
All right. Congrats.
And I appreciate y'all having me on.
No,
anytime,
thank you. Who's next?
Yeah, let's start with one of the ladies.
This is Melinda. I am Black and Japanese. I've been friends with Erica forever, so yeah.
Hey, Melinda.
Hey.
All right. Someone else please introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Danny Williams.
Danny Williams, how you doing this evening?
Can y'all hear me all right?
Yes,
yeah,
sir. We can hear you.
I'm good. Hey, Dash. Okay, and I'm Black and Filipino, and I just work a lot, and I run I'm the president of the Flower Bluff Youth Football League.
Okay. All right, Danny, it's good to have you on. Thank you for accepting the invite. All right, who's next on here?
All right. It's your boy C. Greasy, that most already know me in here, but I am Black and Mexican, and you can find me on YouTube, C space Greasy, Greasy. And what I do on there, I do public interviews at the mall, anime conventions, Marvel conventions. Doesn't matter. Anything that deals with anime, gaming, or fitness, I'm on YouTube doing it. So that's me.
All right. It's good to have a fellow podcaster on the show with us tonight. All right, who else is in the building? Is it just us four?
I think Mariah. Mariah, are you still on?
Okay, well, maybe she'll call back in. Definitely looking forward for her call back, and we definitely want as many inputs as possible when it comes to this subject, because it is a touchy subject. Wouldn't y'all agree?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's one gets overlooked.
Okay, and it is. It definitely gets overlooked a lot. But with the latest, let's just jump right on into it. First, I want to start with the, because right now it's the age of the women, and women are taking over right now. So we want to hear from the ladies first. So Melinda, you say you're Black and Japanese,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and where I'm from, they usually call y'all Blasian. So first, is that an insult or is that an accurate description?
That's an accurate description.
Okay, so
Yeah, I don't take offense to it. I was born and raised in Japan. We moved to the U.S. when I was about 10. Culture shock. It was intense. Moved to Corpus Christi, which was predominantly white and Hispanic. So it was hard from the get-go.
I could just imagine that. You didn't have hardly any other Asians around, did you?
Oh, no. And then it was just my family, Erica's family, and then a guy named Mohammed that went to school together. Not too many Black children around either. Like I said, it was predominantly white and Hispanic.
So how was your first interaction? Like, how did you get used to being pretty much the only Black Asian that would have been around?
It was tough. Didn't speak the language very well. So I had a speech therapist, had to learn English. it was tough, and excuse my language, being the N-Jap. I thought that was my name.
Nigga Jap.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I thought that was my name because that's what I was called. I was too light to be black, so I was never black enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't white, so, I had no place to really be anywhere. I didn't fit in. It was tough because Americans love to label.
Yes.
So in Japan, we didn't have labels. If you were Japanese, you were Japanese. It was about status. So if you were pale white, the more money you had because you didn't have to be in the sun. But you were still Japanese. In America, you were labeled. You're African American. It's biracial, multiracial. It's a label. So it was difficult. It was really hard. And of course, not speaking English, they put me in special ed when I first came to America, thinking that it was my education and not a language barrier, because they didn't have Japanese people around. So,
which is weird because Japan has always been known for their exceptional schooling.
Yes. So it had nothing to do with that. It's just that there was a language barrier.
Right.
And my father was in the military, but he was like on the ship 11 months out of the year. So we would get to see him, 1 month out of the year. And so when we moved to the U.S., he was constantly here, and then of course I had to learn English. And again, that took some time, but my mom actually hired somebody to put me through speech therapy and learn the language.
Okay.
And it was tough. It was tough on her as well.
But you would say that that's pretty much made you a stronger person. Like, without those experiences, would you say that you would have been a completely different person?
I think if I had stayed in Japan, I'd be completely different. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, I grew thick skin here. I had to grow thick skin.
What from like? Excuse me. I just want to know, like, from the jokes or what that was poked at you. Is that why you had thick skin?
Well, people treated me differently. I had no place because I wasn't white, or no part of me was. There weren't too many Japanese people around, so my mom was shunned down upon, and made fun of as well. And then there was my dad. Just being black was hard anyways. So it wasn't just the jokes; it's the jokes, the name calling, the teasing, the getting beaten up for no reason.
Right.
And then, of course, everybody thought I was smart in math, which I wasn't.
That's the wrong stereotype.
People were like that. It was like, this, I got you off my paper and you failed too. Hey, look.
What about one of the guys? What about y'all?
Okay. Let's start off with Rob. Rob, you said we actually didn't get your races. What are you mixed with?
Okay, so I'm black and Mexican, and pretty much everything she just said nailed on the head. But I'm a male, so things hit me a little bit different. You can even tell by my name, Roberto Jesus, and my last name is Howard, who named me. So my mom was Mexican, my dad was black, and they was born in the 30s. So with me being the youngest, my siblings, which I have 8 other siblings, and they all, they look back, big black afros, they look back, dark skin. I was a light skin with big blonde afro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, so you was just different all the way around.
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Being a black Mexican kid and growing up in an all-white town, little town too, outside Kansas City. And so there was two types of things going on there, but the jokes from kids at first, yeah, made me tough because, you could you could take the toughness, but you could also spit out the jokes just as fast because they're coming. You have to spit out the one-liners just as fast,
Right.
So you had to everybody.
You had to not only learn how to laugh at everybody else, but you actually had to learn how to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, but see, at the same time, I played a lot of sports too as a kid, so I was, you know, a lot of the kids that would be doing the bullying were kind of like my friends.
Right, because they were on the same sports team.
But when I got a little bit older, you know, when it came to dating and stuff like that, that's when it started to hit.
Ooh.
You know, yeah, these guys are my friends, but these girls' parents, you know what I'm saying, they looking at me all types of messed up, you know, and then that brought along a lot of other luggage too.
Danny, what about you? I want to hear from you and Chris. Are there any other females, any other ladies that joined in yet?
Like Melinda holding it down for not only the Asians, but for the women too.
All right, that's all right. All right, Danny.
Well, you know, I don't think I had as many problems growing up from very many people outside of the people that were the most that gave me the most problems were other black people.
Right.
They said, "You don't talk black, you don't act black," whatever that means. Well, I don't know what that means. I you know, since I didn't talk or act that way, that was the. But you know, maybe it also helped that when you're bigger than everybody else, they don't say very many things like that to you.
Right.
And so maybe that's one of the things maybe that's why I avoided some of that growing up. Now there was some stuff here or there where I would get hard times from people. I remember in second grade there was this young lady that, you know, I was infatuated with. You know, second grade you think you like a girl, and she said that, well, I'm not allowed to date white. Because I'm not, you know, I can't have a boyfriend that's not white. And that was, I mean, that would happen, you know, whether I was biracial or not. But that's the only racial type incident outside of not being black enough from the black community that I ever remember having. Now, as I got older, in my adult years, like my mother-in-law didn't come down to my wife and I's wedding. Because I was black. And we've been married for, she's going to get mad at me, 21 years now, 22 years.
Wow.
And
hey man,
she still hasn't been down here.
For us men's sake, I'm gonna need you to remember how long y'all been married, because I don't want to sign that you've been murdered on news or something.
Congratulations with that.
For real though, that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Chris, what do you feel? And tell us what you're mixed with.
See, Greasy, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Already, see, Greasy. What about you?
I was doing something real quick. Had to put you on mute.
Already, but what is your experiences growing up?
Black and Mexican.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I'm black and Mexican, and as far as how I grew up, a lot different than y'all because I'm probably the youngest one on this call. Me personally, growing up wasn't a problem. It's the adult years that's getting strange. But so growing up, I grew up in a white dominant environment, and I never had a problem with my race within school. The only problem possibly was when I was in high school and, the principal was trying to claim that my afro was going against policy and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, there was never really no racial problems, I would say. That my problems came from the people of my own skin color. So
well, you do have two different skin colors. So which one is it, the blacks or the Mexicans?
Predominantly black. I mean, okay. Mexicans, they weren't racist towards me. You know what I'm saying? The blacks really weren't that much either, but it was just the fact of being done wrong, I would say. Being done wrong.
Especially when your hair is shaved, do you look Mexican?
In my opinion,
You look Mexican when
if
your
I
hair is
grow out
shaved.
my facial hair, I look 100% Mexican. But when I shave
Yeah.
my face, then it's just like 50-50. Like I look like a light-skinned black dude, or
Right.
to some people Mexican. But it really just depends on where people come from. Because I've noticed in my experience that black people who come from small towns, they don't think I'm black at all. They just assume I'm just a Mexican. But black people who are from the city, like Houston, Austin, San Antonio, they don't think I'm Mexican. They just think I'm mixed with something, but they know I'm black.
Okay.
So it just depends where people come from and, their viewpoint on what they think I am. But as an adult, I would say I ran into like a couple of females who were just like, I wouldn't have gave you, if you never would have came up to me, I wouldn't have gave you a chance because I thought you were just Mexican. And I was like, what? Like, it was just a shock to me because, like, that ain't never happened to me before. And, there's people out there like that, but
So it
to
sounds.
experience it is just, it's weird.
Hey, I don't know how young you are, but you got a lot more coming.
Yeah, you do. But now, Chris, it sounds like for you, you experience more subtle racism, such as you said you experienced running into a girl later on in life that you went to school with. They thought you were just strictly Mexican and would have never gave you the time of day, right?
Well, I didn't go to school with this girl. Like, this is just in my adult. Like, I'm in a whole different city, 6 hours away from where I grew up.
Okay,
So,
and then that happened.
I'm just meeting people, and it just happens. Yeah. It hasn't happened that much. It's only happened like once or twice, but
And it's usually black folks that could, that usually pick up that you either black or you mix first. You know what I'm saying? White Mexicans, you know what I'm saying? They don't pick up on it like that. Black folks is the first one to know you black, but you mix. That's all I can say on that part. And when it comes to the talking part, the speech, it's crazy because you got some guys, black people in the Midwest, they have a real country slang. I'm from Kansas City, and you think if mine is anything country, you should hear theirs up there. It is pure country.
Well, if you think it's about talking,
they'll ask me, what are you? And I'm gonna be like, my response, it's an automatic response. It's just, if I tell you what I am, is that going to change any way you treat or talk to me?
Right.
I usually ask that before I even tell them. They said, nah, this one, what are you, black or white, black, Mexican? So, yeah, speech.
no, that's
pick up on the speech too when it happens.
okay.
I can tell you right now, at least for me, at
My mom was
job,
the only Mexican lady on the block braiding hair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we just had a new.
would
We
say
just
like
had a
that
new.
my job-
Hold on. We just had a new guest that just arrived. Alexis, are you there?
Yes, I am. Sorry for all the background noise. I'm at the pet store.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, do you need a minute before you come on, or do you want to go ahead and state your how you grew up, what you're mixed with, and how you grew up?
Oh yeah, just give me a minute. I'm about to check out and leave.
Okay, we'll go ahead and then just let us know whenever you're ready. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, so I got a good question on what we were just talking about. We were just saying pretty much it was black people that can actually pick up on your blackness before any other race, but they would still give you a hard time saying that you aren't black enough. Do you think that's an example of a black person being racist towards black people, or do you think that they're trying to force everybody that claims the black label into a monolith?
Well, I'll give you an analogy, because I'll tell you, I've been to prison. You can change your life, everybody. So you know what I'm saying. You can change it around. Don't let that put a label on you. I've been to prison, and there it's going to hit you what race you are.
Yep.
It's first of all, you don't see no Indians or Asians in no prisons, but you either black, you gonna be white,
Yep.
or you Mexican.
60 days.
There is no in between. So I wasn't black enough for the black. I wasn't Mexican enough for the Mexicans. But I had skills, so because I I had plenty of skills getting by. I had money on my books. So when it came for somebody to ask me for something, it's supposed to be your race first. So I put the blacks because I'm black. I entered as black. They almost put me down as white because the Hispanic population gets booked in as white.
Right.
That's why the analytics are all messed up. Mm-hmm.
So what do you claim?
Good enough to sit at the Mexican table.
What? That's a good question. What do you claim?
Well, I claim black. I was walking my life as black. I got treated as black. You know, I got my ass whooped by the cops like I was black. You know, so
okay.
They treat me as a nigga in this world. You know what I'm saying? So they don't see no Mexican first. They see black.
Okay. And what about how about Melinda? What did you readily was able to identify with once you reached the United States?
Black.
I had to choose black, even though a lot of people labeled me as white, because there was no biracial at the time.
Right.
So you had to choose either parent and not both.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was a double minority.
Yes.
And how about C. Greasy?
I was a double minority, and
oh, I'm sorry, Melinda. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
You said you were a double minority?
Yes.
Oh wow. Yeah, because you was an Asian,
because I was Japanese and black.
Yeah, and not only that, but you also was a woman.
And so there were places, especially like for jobs, that would label me as white. I couldn't put down black or Japanese.
Wow. And did that help you out?
Yeah.
Do you think that helped you out, that you was forced to put down white? Because I know a lot of people, it's like you have, they call them, falsely they call them Uncle Toms because, you know, nobody read the book Uncle Tom's Cabin to know that Uncle Tom was a real nigga and that Sambo was the chump, was the coon.
Uncle Tom was the good guy.
Would you say that a lot of people have actually pulled the Uncle Tom and tried to say that they're white or put on their white voice? Do you think that actually being classified as white, do you think that probably saved you from some instances or probably put you in more instances?
No, there was no advantage to that at all. I think it was a lot tougher because then you had to prove that you were a certain race, and like I said, Americans love to label.
Right.
So I was never white enough, of course, because I wasn't white. But that's what they put me as because I was like bright, almost white. If I put black, well then that's a disadvantage anyways. You know, so there was no advantage in any part that I partook in.
What about you, Danny? What do you think?
Well, you know, I was talking to my sister right before this, and we were just talking about brought up a story about how I don't remember how the conversation came up, and we were riding in the car with my parent, and we asked, we were like, well, so what? We were young. I want to say I was probably 8, 9 years old. And we asked, like, what are we? Somebody asked, are we black? Are we Filipino? And my mom goes, you're American. She goes, what does the rest of that matter? They should teach you the same. You're American. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm American. And my Lolo and Lola, my grandparents on my mom's side told me the same thing. They're like, somebody asked you, like, we came to America so that you're American. That's why we came here. He was like, I'm not American. He's like, I'm Filipino. And he goes, your ancestry is black and Filipino, but you're American. And they really talked about not allowing other people to give you an identity, because once you start identifying like that, then you're different. And when you're different than other people, that's when people you can do bad things to people that aren't like you. And that was one of the things we really brought up, is that we're all humans, we're all Americans. And don't think of your friends as your white friends or your Mexican friends. They're your friends. You're a person, and that's one of the things that was really different, and why I kind of butt heads with people sometimes, because I try not to see myself as, I'm very proud to be black, I'm very proud to be Filipino, but first and foremost, I'm just a person, just like you and everybody.
I tried that one before, but in the last 7-8 years, man, I've seen my friends, their true colors rear their ugly heads too.
Well, don't let the faults and the evils of other people define you and make you somebody else.
Oh, like that.
7 years ago.
On my plate on an everyday basis, even worry about them. I just keep shooting forward.
Yeah,
I've been through the trudges in the hell, and I've seen what race and racism is all about right there. I mean, the guards there will tell you it's about your race. You go to your people before you come to us. You know what I'm saying? I had to listen to 4 years of that shit, go through that. And then when
I
the Muslims
understand that happens, but it's terrible. It shouldn't happen. That's the problem. That's the problem with humanity.
Well, I was just a victim of systemic racism. I mean, that's another story, but it's just, that was, and before that, I have a college education. I went to school on a baseball scholarship. You know what I'm saying? So when they asked me, well, you sound like you talk intelligent. I mean, what are you trying to tell me, that if I'm black, that I'm supposed to sound dumb? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so that's
100%.
I'm sorry. That brings up actually a good point. Being black, you know what I'm saying, that comes with its own stereotype. Now, first, I want to go ahead and put this on. I have to put this out there, that the government classifies me as a white man, even though I'm probably darker than I'm not as dark as my girl Erica over here, but I'm probably darker than most of y'all mixed ones. But they consider me white because my family is originally from North Africa. It's around Morocco, Mauritania area. So that's when I found out that it had nothing to do with skin complexion. But with that to the side, when you grow up in a black realm, well, everybody around you identifies as black, and people who is in authority identifies the same people as black, and they throw you in that grouping. There's so many different types of stereotypes that are thrown at black people day in and day out. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I know any stereotypes about mixed people. Wouldn't they be different? We have a black and Asian, we have black and Mexicans, we have black and white. Did y'all go through? Would you say that you probably had the same stereotypical experiences?
Oh man, when people sit there, I have white folks crack black jokes right in front of me, right, and expecting me to laugh.
Cause they think you're cool with it, cause you ain't all black.
And they see me flip the coin. And they find out real quick. It was like, what the hell is this guy's problem, man?
Chris. C. Greasy. Sorry. Wasn't there an incident where you were saying at work how they didn't know what race you were, and they started talking about, what was it? Something about being black and how you wouldn't understand about being black and how you never knew anything about the struggle. Elaborate more on that situation.
Well, that's what I was getting to whenever I was going. But pretty much at my job, it's like 80-85% black, and I didn't know that. I've been there for a year and 9 months, and I didn't know that the black people there did not view me as black. Just about almost all of them are just now finding out that I'm half black. And once they found out that I'm part black, some of them actually started talking to me. They started treating me a little different, and I don't know, it's just weird. I mean, because, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you weren't talking to me at first, and now that you know I'm part black.
Well, your generation go around calling each other, niggas and shit. The white kids call each other niggas and stuff. And my generation, we wouldn't even let them get away with that.
They got sparked.
Looking for them to say no. Something with the N in it, just so we...
they say the word not too hard, and we're going to knock their ass out.
Right.
But yeah, it's totally different. That's actually a good point right there. Okay, so since we have a millennium, we have Generation X's and Generation Z's on here.
Hey.
Let's discuss that generational gap. How do you think that we've come so far to where now it is actually? I mean, I wouldn't say it's acceptable, but it's more. It is more acceptable.
Too many laws. They got too many laws. I mean, they just signed a bill. If Joe Biden comes into office, he just signed a bill. Y'all, and it's to protect, the Asians, and no disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They got touched up the past 2 years. He signs a bill for them. LGBT community. Obama put that into place. And now what happened? They got all these rights, right?
Right.
They even swimming out there. You know what I'm saying? Winning championships and first place titles and stuff. And what about the blacks? He ain't. Remember, you ain't black. You don't vote for me. I voted for him. Shit, you still ain't signed shit.
Uh-huh.
No, he hasn't. Alexis, what do you think about that?
Sorry, I just got out of my ride. I didn't really hear too much of what was discussed.
Okay, we was pretty much talking about how things have changed over the past few generations. Where back in the 80s and the 90s, let's say a young white boy, forget young, a white boy or a white girl actually says the N-word, calls some black person, or just says the N-word, they were liable to get like their teeth knocked out. But now, fast forward to 2022, it seems like now when you be at work and a rap song comes on and everybody's singing all the words, it don't matter what color they are and no matter what the words are, and without any consequence. How do you think we came this far? We've established that with there's been laws. Obama passed the LGBTQ laws, and then when Biden came in, he showed love to the Asians for when they was being attacked. But when all this time, nothing has happened for black people. Do you think those correlate?
I don't see why we wouldn't be included in that. Of course, as well as seeing how much the LGBTQ plus community is kind of brought into everything as well. I do want to say that there's probably a sense of
but
that
you
not
won't hear
being
from them when
fair.
something goes down to LGBT community. The LGBT community, I mean,
Yes.
when something goes black, you don't hear from them. Or when something, it's only when something divides around sex or the LGBT community themselves. But other than that, that's the only time they ride in the same car.
But I'm sorry, but go ahead, Alexis. What you were saying about? Can you finish your thought, Alexis?
Yeah, it's okay. But no, I was saying, I think that we should be, more included. You know what I mean? More, not involved, but just more included. Because I was having a conversation with a coworker a couple days ago, and I was kind of saying something to the same effect. All these laws and legislations and things are being passed for other people, different races and stuff. But kind of like, what about us? And then my coworker was like, "Well, you guys have Black History Month."
Oh, wow.
Dude, yes.
See, and in 1999, she would have got slapped.
I'm surprised they didn't say
What was
Juneteenth.
that?
And Alexis, what are you mixed with, and how did it affect you growing up?
Don't forget Juneteenth.
I am-
You can know it's on the wrong day.
Right.
I am mixed with black and white. I had a very interesting upbringing. When I say interesting, I only say that because I don't know what other word to use to describe it. I was not brought up in a positive light in regards to my black side. I was not taught anything about, my history, my heritage, other than what they taught us at school, which, isn't everything. I was kind of deprived to discover and learn more about that side of myself.
So you grew up with a white family?
Correct, yes. My mother is white. She, like I said, she just really deprived me of discovering that side of myself, because I've had a lot of interesting interactions with her, especially growing up. Because my grandma, she likes to make homemade food. And one of the things she likes to make is cornbread. And I asked my mom, I said, can you make that? And she said, I don't know how to make homemade cornbread. And I was like, okay, well, can you buy, like, the box stuff? And excuse my language, but she said, I don't make that. She was like, that's nigger shit. And I didn't really know what to say. So I was brought up with a racist mother, and I was never able to drink grape soda either, because she had that stereotype of, only black people drink grape soda, watermelon and all that stuff.
Oh, so you couldn't eat watermelon and chicken?
Drink grape soda either.
So how do you think that had a bearing on your adulthood now?
Sadly to say, up until a couple of years ago, I thought the same way, like I would once, like, describe, black men, men of color, like, I used to look at them in a very negative light because my mom did. Like, I used to think like my mother, black men are disgusting, they're this, that, and the other. It took me a while to kind of snap out of it, but because I was kind of raised to hate that side of myself, I was like that for a good while.
That's hard to unwire, because the first your first 16 years of life, it carries you on with you from till we end, and to unwire something is very, very hard. So do you have trouble unwiring some of that stuff? Because this is new to me. I've never heard nothing like this.
I'm doing my own research. I no longer go off of what people tell me, because, what people tell me obviously can't always be true. Because, my mom used to tell me a lot of bogus things about, black people. And for a long time I believed them. So I'm doing my own research, kind of just going off of that. And again, instead of what I learned in, high school and whatnot, because that was the only reference I had to the black side of myself, is what they taught us in high school, and that was it. So I just didn't get to discover that part of myself. Like, I wasn't able to listen to black artists. I was just deprived of that part of myself.
And that's pretty much a big. Would you consider that like a big absence in your life? Like, do you feel like you are better off? Do you feel like you would have been better off knowing this, or do you think that it wouldn't have any effect on you?
How could you know?
I would have loved to have grown up in like a black positive home, being able to, do a lot of the things that I wasn't able to do, like drink grape soda, you know what I mean? Just being able to listen to the black artists, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't even look up anything, like African American related, without my mom going through my search history, and saying, "Oh, don't do that again, or you're grounded," or you know what I mean? It was
because there's like so much of a childhood that you had missed. Sound like
right.
Yeah, and I grew up so like self-hating, you know what I mean? And like I mentioned a second ago, that did bleed into my adult life as well, because like I said, I used to think of black men, as disgusting, because that's how my mom saw them. So it's a lot of unwiring. It's not impossible, but it's going to take a minute.
All right. Well, let me ask y'all this. I want to get each individual's answer on this one. While growing up, I want to talk about two different stages: your childhood and your adolescent years and your adulthood years. In your adolescent and then in your adulthood years, how do you think that affected you in your dating life? And we'll start with Alexis.
In my adolescent life, of course, I wasn't, it's not that I wasn't able to date, but my mom, she did want to meet, the people that I dated, and obviously I wasn't able to, date a black boy, so any other option than that. And then now I have dated some black guys as well. I find that there's a huge difference in the way that I'm treated. As before, I just used to date white boys, but I find that most of the black men that I have dated, they show a little bit more respect for me. in regards to, you know, like if they're making me uncomfortable or if they're doing something that's making me uncomfortable. They just just care more about how they're making me feel than any other race that I've dated.
Do you think that had the reason for that was probably because you were half white?
I mean, maybe. I'm not really sure. Probably.
Okay.
Melinda.
All right, Melinda. What about you? How did it affect you in your dating in both stages of your life?
Wow. Dating was not a good thing. I was a crossover. So I would have black guys who would date me because I was white, bright, almost white, and they wanted to cross over to a white chick. So I was their stepping stone. And then I had white guys who wanted to try and date black women. But again, I wasn't fully, so I was a stepping stone. As I got older, it really didn't play into it. I didn't date a lot of white men. I was always in fear of them calling out my name if we got into an argument. So, yeah, I didn't do that. I got married. He was biracial as well. And I think I just wasn't ready for that. I'm still not ready for anything. We got divorced, but yeah, dating is not on my bright side.
But I got a question.
It's very difficult.
I got a question. Okay, so you said you married another biracial. If y'all had children, would that make them quadracial?
I was just thinking that. Multi-ethnic, multiracial.
It would be multiracial.
Multiracial.
But it wouldn't be quadracial. So y'all get to be biracial, but nobody gets to be triracial or quadracial. It just stops with y'all, huh?
Don't put any more labels out
Well,
there.
y'all selfish.
We have too many labels already.
All right, and how about Danny? What about you, Danny? How was your dating experience being biracial?
I mean, I dated black girls, white girls, Mexican girls, Asian girls. I dated all kinds of, I never had any problems other than the occasion, like I said, the instance in second grade, and then of the young lady who I ended up dating anyways when we were in high school. Her grandparents didn't want her to date a black man, but her mom didn't care, so I mean that didn't work out. But like I never really had any problems as far as dating. I was too busy to date. I was convinced I was going to be in the NFL and that I didn't have time to have no babies with any girls. I didn't have time for any of that, so I spent a lot of my time working out, playing video games. My wife's white. Grandparents were Lithuanian and the other side's German. But I never had any problems, and I dated pretty much every race you could think of. I never had any problems as far as that went.
Rob, what's up with you?
Other than that.
Shit. So, yeah. Well, I don't know, like adolescent years, like 14. I don't know. It's just I dated. But my first couple girlfriends were black, and then when I got to college, that was high school. It was I was the yin to what's her name, Mercedes. How she couldn't date black men or whatever.
Alexis.
You gotta understand, like I was black and Mexican in an all white little town outside Kansas City, so there was like snow bunnies out.
Everywhere.
And they was told not to date me, but what do you think they did? They rebelled against mom and dad. My dating was
what
not
I
that
wanted
bad,
to know.
Although they didn't want them near me, but like him, I was an athlete, and you know what I'm saying. I kind of stood out anyway. So, but and I wasn't an asshole to anybody. You know what I'm saying. I was a pretty nice guy, dude. So I didn't have any. But as far as like the race, yeah, they didn't. The parents didn't want them near me at all. But they came in stages for me because then after college, there was kind of got me sent to prison was I got into the drug life, selling drugs, and that's a very, 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 very fast life. And of course, what comes with that is about anything that you want.
Okay.
So that leaves no colors.
Right.
What about you, C. Greasy? How many other women you had to beat off you with a baseball bat because you biracial?
Let me throw. I do have a day job. That was the old life.
Already.
For me, growing up, I mean, there wasn't no issue race-wise. I grew up in the 2000s, so I don't know. It was that, maybe it's just the area I was in, but
well, by that time you had
everybody
more.
was dating.
I think by that time it was more
Everybody
separate.
was dating everybody else. So,
Okay.
If this,
but it wasn't really until college.
What you say, C. Greasy?
I want to know, like, why do you think this is a topic? Because of the census, or did y'all read some sort of census, or?
No, I'm gonna get into that. That's one of my last questions. I'm gonna definitely get into that. So I'm glad you asked me that, but I'm definitely gonna touch on exactly why I wanted to have this podcast, this show tonight. That's why I'm asking this last question. But I'm sorry, C. Greasy, you pretty much saying that in this new age that you grew up in, there was no issue about race because by that time it was a little bit more acceptable, right?
Yeah. There's only one instance in college where there's this white girl that, like, she was helping me cheat on tests and stuff. So, like, I was like, all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? No girl just gonna let you do that and she don't like you. So.
Right. For
So I
real.
started talking to her and stuff, and I was just like, you know, getting to know her. And then when they got to the point of, you know, like hanging out and stuff like that, like she was just like, oh, I can't. And I was like, why? And she was like, well, my dad pays for my college, and he would take all my money away if he knew that I was talking to someone who was black.
Wow.
And I was like, dang. I was like, it's like that over there? And he was like, yeah, like, you're cute, and you're cool, but, you know, I don't want to risk me getting my bachelor's degree because he finds out I'm talking to someone who's, like, not white. And I was like, shoot, all right. So, I mean, I just moved around. It didn't bother me.
You see, back in the 80s and the 90s, that would have started a riot.
The girl said, I can't mess around black guys. I mean, she was smoking, so I told her I was Puerto Rican, okay?
Right.
Right, exactly. Well, that ain't nothing but a Spanish-speaking nigga. You know that.
Hey, that's
Now,
real.
there's one more to say.
What you say, Melinda?
Was I think it's very different between the guys on here and the girls dating as well. My life was not. If anybody had just said, you know, I can't date you because you're black or you're Japanese or whatever, you're not white, I could stand that. I was used to get to one or the other side.
Right.
And that was hard, so I don't have a good dating experience, even in my adulthood. Now, being in my 50s, people are like, oh, you're so exotic. No, I'm not. You know, I'm not because of this, and I have a hard time now dating because I never went through it before.
Right.
I was never rejected in a sense of just because of my race. I think I was always accepted and then thrown to the side once they got to whomever they wanted to really get to. And that was hard.
I could just imagine. That's exactly why I wanted to have this discussion tonight, because a lot of people don't understand that, you know, like black people, white people, they all day, all night, they going at each other's throat, not realizing that there's been people amongst both races that was able to find some kind of love or some kind of attraction to each other, to where they have birthed children who are literally in the middle of a war. And I could just imagine how you was pulled from left to right during BLM, during Black Lives Matter season these past 10, 15 years. Like, okay, I want to get it before I actually get into the main top, the main question. Is what I really wanted to pull together from all this. How do y'all feel about the BLM period? Do you feel like it was progress?
They were the actual people, the president. They hijacked the whole, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was behind the whole movement. Don't get me wrong, but as soon as I seen they was living up on Bubble Hill, not actually giving back to the black community, that's when I cut them off.
Right. Okay.
Then who wasn't giving back to the black community?
BLM. As an organization, when they finally organized, they really cut it. There was more for LGBTQ.
Right. That's when everything started switching over.
Yeah.
Or just not even mentioned really anymore.
All right. BLM right now is
that
just
whole movement,
crump.
With the black Trumpers, the Mexican Trumpers, and don't think I wasn't approached by them too,
Right.
And I wasn't on that agenda, period. But then especially down here in South Texas, y'all already know, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm just me, bro. I'm just me. I really, people are either going to accept me, I was always an odd kid. I did, drew a lot, do art, and worked at a tattoo shop for 7 years of my life. And then, I played guitars and shit. And that was another thing. Until I run into other black musicians or something, I don't even feel accepted in the music world until and that's where my language breaks down.
Right. And yeah, I'm hip to that. Trust me, I already know. But what about you, Melinda? How was your reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement during these past 10 years?
I was conflicted. It was a thing of people standing up for a hot minute.
Yes.
Until they changed their agenda. And then we were thrown to the wayside again. So, there was really nothing to really stand up to because they weren't standing up long enough. Everybody was on the bandwagon at first, and then they switched their agenda, and then it became something else. And, in the beginning I was there, but, it's nothing that I want to partake in.
Okay. What about you, Rob?
Can I add something to that?
Danny?
No.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh. Okay. Well, one of the people have said numerous times that they switched the agenda.
That's Danny.
I don't feel like they ever switched the agenda. The left has never, ever backed the black community. Just hasn't. People
Okay.
have voted for Democrats for
We don't even have a black leader.
decades.
We don't have a black leader.
Well,
Go ahead, Danny.
we
Keep
don't.
going.
some of the people that could stand up to be black, that could be great black leaders, are often looked down upon by the community because they don't fit the bill. They don't fit what they think the black person should sound or act like. Therefore, they can't be the leader because maybe they're conservative, or what the United States would consider conservative. And because of that, we've been brainwashed to say that person's the enemy. But you can't point to a place where these leftist movements or these Democrat movements have helped the black community. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
These big
Case in
they're
point.
predominantly African Americans are in shambles.
Case in point is Joe Biden. He's trying to champion that he's about to be the first president to put a black woman into the Supreme Court, but they refuse to actually approach the actual. Hold on, one minute. Hold on. Let me. They refuse to tell you about back in the early 2000s, up under the George Bush era, how he filibustered a black woman becoming a Supreme Court justice simply because she was conservative.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And there have been women on the Supreme Court, and there have been 2 black men on the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
But because they want to label everything, well, we got a black woman now. But you know what? She's qualified. She's qualified. She should be put on the Supreme Court. I don't agree with her ruling, but she's a qualified judge.
Right.
But that someone's race, color, and sex should not be the reason that they get that.
exactly.
And that dude's a clown. That dude's a clown. He's setting things back.
All right. What about you, Alexis? How do you feel about the whole during these past 10 years, the BL movement?
I did not catch the person's name, but the other woman in this
Melinda?
Chat, yeah, there you go. Sorry, I somewhat agree with her. It made me happy to see that BLM became a thing. You know what I mean? Like it made me want to feel proud that I was black. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to say necessarily shifted, but something of that nature when they started to kind of get a little violent with it, because it was peaceful at first. You know what I mean? People marching, protesting, walking around with signs and stuff. I was okay with that. You know what I mean? Because I think there's always a peaceful way to get your point across. Things don't always have to turn, violent, or people don't always have to get so belligerent. So for me, when it kind of got to that point, it wasn't that I was no longer on board. I just kind of started to feel, I guess, a little indifferent to it. I was still with it. I just didn't like the more violent side of it. And some people might argue and say, well, you know what? Sometimes violence needs to be, a thing for you to get your point across. And I would agree 50-50. I agree and I don't necessarily agree with that, depending on the point that you're trying to get across. Yes, sometimes a little violence might be called for.
Okay. What about you, C. Greasy? I know you too young to remember the LA riots of 1990, but seeing how this is your first time of seeing racial unrest in this country, what was your experience with it?
Well, viewing it is just something that, I knew it existed, but me personally, I really wasn't coming into contact too much. So seeing pretty much the whole country, standing up for it, like that, the principle of it, I agree with, I support it. You know what I'm saying? But everything else that came with it, as far as the riots and stuff, shoot, I don't know. I wasn't out there. Shoot, I'm thinking logical. I'm thinking for my safety too. I ain't trying to get hit with rubber bullets and stuff. But I understand, some areas is more hot than others. So some of those areas that were doing riots, it wasn't because they just wanted to. They were getting shot at first. So as a group, they began that. But then again, people who actually know, certain areas was actually set up and people, all that other stuff. But, for the most part, it was a learning experience. I just knew that, this is a part of history. I'm living in it. I'm watching it. You know what I mean? When I have kids and stuff, they're going to learn about this in school. I'm going to let them know, yeah, I was there. I saw it all on TV. I saw it in person, too, when I was in Austin, Texas, doing security. And I saw, groups of people marching through the city, downtown, and, police had to escort people, all types of stuff. So it was just a learning experience. That's all it was.
Okay. All right. Well, that's. I'm glad that everybody was able to see what actually happened during the BLM movement, because that was, for us that's old enough, we do remember the different riots. I ain't gonna lie, I only remember the 90s riots. I'm not that damn old. I'm sorry, y'all. But I know a few of y'all also remember during the early 80s and during the 70s, there was protests, especially with the wars and stuff, and them trying to send over black people, Muhammad Ali standing up. And so it seems like that has been a recurring theme when it comes to black people in this nation. No matter if you're mixed or if you're strictly black, if you have an ounce, it sounds like if you have an ounce of black in you, you having this same racial experience. You see what has been going on, no matter what your upbringing is. The question that I want to bring, because we're actually about to bring it to an end, and I want to thank you all because y'all had some very enlightening, very eye-opening statements that I'm going to be turning into sound bites for people to be able to pick up on this information so that they can get some knowledge out of it. So I want to thank you all. But I do have one more question before I let you all go, and the first I have to explain one thing about it's about a question about nationality. Now, a lot of people think that when they come to the United States, your nationality becomes American. But that is actually a falsity, seeing how America is two different continents. You have people that never been to the United States before, but was born in Brazil, and they are Americans because they were born on the South American land. Huh? I'm sorry?
Nationality or ethnicity?
No, that's nationality. This question is about nationality. A Brazilian is from the nation of Brazil, but they're on the continent of America. So it's not an ethnicity, more of a geographical designation when it comes to continental identity. Ethnicity, you could have multiple ethnicities from one land, but that land will be just known as one thing. Such as Melinda, you're half Japanese. But we also know that being black isn't a nation. It's not a nationality. So do you know what that part of your nationality is?
Yes.
The black version? What's the black version of your, what nationality is your black side of the family from?
Actually, American. So
well, again, American isn't a nationality. It's a continental identity. The nationality would be the actual nation because you have, again, the South Americans are American.
But my dad was African American.
But okay,
Cherokee.
So what nation in Africa?
So I mean,
how am I supposed to know?
That's the
he was the West Indies.
He was from West Indies. Okay.
Cherokee. Yes.
Cherokee. All right. There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
And Moroccan.
He was a
We
Moor.
did a whole background check on everything. So, which do I pick? Which do I choose?
No, you don't have to. It's all of them. You're all of those. You're all of those nationalities. But that's the point of that question. I'm glad you know. So you set a great example. So now let's move on to the next person. Alexis, you know that you're white. Do you know the nationality on your white side of the family? If they're German, English, French?
There is Irish, Scottish. That's really all that I know of.
Okay, and what about your black side of the family? Oh, hope we didn't lose nobody. Hello?
Did somebody drop?
Hello?
Alexis, you still there? Okay, maybe she'll call back in. We'll get back with her next. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. How about you, Rob? You're mixed with black and Mexican, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you know
that'd be a La Azteca. Straight up, I'm Aztec and I'm actually an Israelite.
Okay, all right, okay. So you're Ibri. All right, okay, Hebrew. All right, so you know your nationality. That's good.
You black, you gotta be a Hebrew Israelite.
Not necessarily. We're gonna get on that because that's another thing that we're gonna talk about that I discussed later on in other topics. But you have a good concept of that. Most of the black people, so-called black people in the United States, do have a heritage that leads back into the Hebrew, the Hebraic or the Ibri, which birthed the nation of Israel. Okay, did we get Alexis back?
Okay, yes, I'm back. I'm so sorry.
Okay, all right, Rob, I'm gonna get back with you in just a moment. Let's finish up with Alexis real quick. Alexis, do you know the nationality of your black side of the family? I know you didn't really grow up with them, but maybe you kind of found it out later.
Yes, actually, I did the, I'm not sure exactly how accurate it is, but I wanted to know. So I did, like, the Ancestry DNA thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't know how accurate it is, but I have 19% Nigerian, 5% Benin and Togo, and then about 4% Mali.
Okay.
Just for some examples.
But you didn't. You had to get that information from a website, not from your family, right?
Yeah, correct. That's what I was saying. I don't know exactly how accurate that would be.
Okay, well, we'll say that was accurate. And those are your nationalities. Those will be considered your nationalities. Back to Rob, you said you was Israelite and you also Aztecian. I like the way you came with that because you went with the original nations. You went with original family names that were established not by the enemy but by them themselves, your ancestors themselves. That's where the nationality comes from. How about Danny? What about your nationalities? Do you know what those are?
Well, like I said, my mom's from the Philippines. They're from Cavite, and on my dad's side, we're also, I guess, on my mom's side, we're also part Spanish, which is the family name is Wenceslao Orqueño, which is a Spanish name.
Okay.
And then on my dad's side, Cherokee, Irish. But as far as the African American part, unfortunately, we don't know. And I haven't done ancestry in me because I don't know that even my grandparents.
Okay.
Most records are screwed after 30s in America.
What was that about African American?
No, I said the birth certificates are pretty much screwed past the 30s, 1930s in America, so it's hard to find.
Yeah, my father-in-law actually does genealogy. He loves doing it, and so he tried doing that for me. And he had a really hard time.
Yeah,
I think going past my great grandparents because he goes, there just there aren't any records.
Right,
and the records are wrong, and some of them are. And so he had a really hard time.
Yeah, they're not going to keep records on their property. They'll keep records on living human beings, but not property. So that's why it becomes a little muddled. Right. All right, well, let's go to the youngest one of the group. What about you, C. Greasy? You said you're half Mexican, so that's your one nationality. Do you know the other nationality?
Yeah. So I did the same thing at Alexis. I did like Ancestry 2 years ago. And so the main numbers are 25% Native American, North Central, Nuevo Leon, Northeastern Mexico. And then I'm 20% Cameroon, Congo, and Southern Bantu. The rest of the number is like 10, 9, 5%. Like those all are like, Mali, Nigeria, France, Spain. But the big numbers, the main ones, I'm
Cameroon, huh?
Cameroon and Congo.
You know how Cameroon got their name? Do you know how Cameroon got their name? The Portuguese named that country, and in Portuguese, is Cameroon means shrimp, just like it does in Spanish.
Did you get that?
It's the paint.
No, that's not.
It's the site.
It means what?
It means shrimp.
Oh, okay.
The reason why they named that nation that was because all of the people there were of short stature when they found them.
That's cute.
Yeah, that's just a little inside humor.
That's cute.
But that's good though. I noticed that if you didn't know your nationality through research, you had to go to Ancestry.com, Ancestry DNA, or so on and so forth to find out the black portion. But the other nationalities, no matter what they were, whether you were Japanese, whether you were Irish, whether you were Lithuanian, or so on and so forth, or Mexican, you knew that by birth. Y'all don't think that's like it's either weird by design or is that just weird by coincidence?
That's weird.
I think I missed part of your question. I think you might have cut out. Are you saying that do we think it's by design that we don't know our heritage per se?
You can, yeah. Well, let's word it that way. Do you think it's by design, or do you think it's just a weird coincidence?
I think it was by design. I don't think that most people now are doing it. I don't think that's the case now. But in the past, Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, it's the same way, what the Australians did with the indigenous people there. Same thing that happened with, European colonialists in Africa. Is the same thing that the Russians have done numerous times of Russification. Same things that the Chinese are doing right now with Muslim minorities. The same things they did to the Tibetans. It's a human problem that we try to erase the past of other people, because by robbing them of their past, you're hurting their future. And I don't.
I mean, do you need pure blood in a race? Yeah, you do. That's what you need. That you do need justification. You do need same race. I do. I know this sounds messed up with races, but I mean, since the beginning of time, there's been mixed race people. It just has. I mean, God divided us up in the tongues. I mean, and started from color, from dark to y'all know the story. But it asks. I mean, same race. Pure blood needs to be white people need to be white, Mexicans need to be as Mexicans, but then it's just not like that. But there's people that keep to those old school roots, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. It's supposed to be like that. So you can have a pure blood race out there, but the last thing you're gonna call me is a breed. I'm not an animal. Look it up. Right. I'm not an animal. I wasn't mixed from two different animals, because then you're just calling yourself one.
Right.
And because I've had that a lot too. What breed are you? I like you better run.
I said, what breed are you?
Yeah. When they call mixed people mixed breed.
What breed are you? Like you're a dog or something,
right? But that also goes in line with animal husbandry. The way that the school systems are set up, for them to train you, not to teach you how to teach yourself, but you pretty much have to do it their way, or it's the highway. All of that is animal husbandry. All of that is animal training.
They're teaching you to work in a factory.
That too. It trains you.
The public
Exactly.
school system was meant for you to work in a factory.
Yeah.
But that's all it was. And I worked in the public school system for a long time, and it was one of the things that bothered me, is that we don't really teach the kids to use critical thinking, think outside the box. Kind of do those types of things. You do this way, you do this way, and this is your outcome. Because we need to update our educational system. It's very antiquated.
Very.
We're falling behind.
I agree.
Because
very.
They used to call my house on Martin Luther King Day and ask my mom why I wasn't in school. My mom she's a 4'11" Mexican lady, and she would say it's Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. That's why I didn't hang up the phone.
Man,
they never give my mom any more shit the whole time I went to school though about that Martin Luther King Day.
Your mom was nicer than mine, because my mom used to just tell him, because I didn't let him go to school, what the fuck is it to you? And I'm like that with my kids now. They be like, you got an excuse for your child? Yeah, I excused him. Are you okay? But you're right though. The system is just set up, and the way that they're actually policing the children now, like, these are your children, but if you don't let them go to school, and I understand the appeal of school, don't get me wrong, but if you don't let them go to school, you're going to jail. And I'm like, hold on, I don't like what you're teaching them in there, but yet we want me to force my children to learn the stuff that you're teaching them. You won't even let my son do a project on his heritage. When he picked this project, you told him that he couldn't do it on that, and then you gave him somebody to do his project on. That right there is stifling their education. You're making them grow stagnant.
No, I agree.
And with this is why with this topic, even right now, we don't have to worry. The children don't have to worry about too much about race in school. Don't get me wrong, it's still there, but they don't have to worry about that too much unless the adults bring it into school. So we are at a very big advantage right now to being able to actually solve a lot of the problems that we are going to right now by just focusing on the children, making sure that they don't have to worry about this. But you see, we have people out there with their feelings and their opinions that are trying to handcuff the system, handcuff the educational system, and keep it where it's at instead of being progressive. That's why I had to ask about the children being multi-ethnic or whatnot. That's going to be the future. There's not going to, in the next 2 or 3 generations, there's not going to be hardly any children in the school system that are not 2 or more races. And once we come to understand that, we come to realize that, and we accept it, we know how to go forward. But I don't want to see personally another BLM ever in my life. That just showed me, we had a BLM back in the 60s and 70s called the Black Liberation Movement. They actually did stuff for the community with the Black Panthers. We need to actually teach these children to those who they need to be looking up to. Now, when we say BLM, they're going to look at Black Lives Matter, and then they're going to see that fiasco, and they ain't going to know anything about how we organized, how we built instead of tearing down, and how we progressed before we
got changed.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing we was lacking was security. That's the only thing we was lacking. But we got enough men. Well, we have enough boys out there that we can raise to be men that they can provide that security. And these women are freaking intelligent and powerful. We give them the building blocks, they gonna build it. All we have to do is protect it. But if we don't get into teaching them that right now, we're gonna have another Black Lives Matter movement in another 20 years. And it's going to be even worse because most of them people are going to be multi-ethnic. So I don't know what we have in plans for them now. I know what I'm doing with my 2. I try not to overstep my boundaries with anybody else's children, but I think we need to start pushing our friends who got children or grandchildren or great-grand, whatever they have, and to pushing them into the right direction instead of us keeping up the same narrative year after year after year. I guarantee y'all in the next 10 years we're going to see another OJ. I bet.
Hope not.
I hope not too, but I guarantee you, because that's just the cycle we in. So, but I want to thank everybody.
The OJ, they got all the Russian yards.
But I'm sorry. No, okay, yeah. I hope he is like he was in the SC days. You know what I'm saying? But I want to thank everybody for coming on. Y'all was very enlightening. I'll hope that we are able to utilize this episode to wake up a lot of people and show that there's a whole nother world out there other than it's not just always black and white or black and Mexican or black and Japanese or black in anything. But it's always going to be some gray area in between. So let's hopefully just get them. I hope everybody that's listening right now, share this to all your family and friends that have mixed children or are mixed themselves. And hopefully we won't be running into any mixed breeds because, we got 2 mixed breeds that we got to go feed and let outside right now so that they don't pee all over the couch. So we want to make sure nobody calls nobody mixed breed. I'm sorry, go ahead. What you saying? Already, but thank you all. Is there any shout outs? First, let me give y'all a chance to give any shout outs. If you do you got a business, you got podcasts, you got music, this is your chance. We'll start at the youngest first. Let's go ahead and start with C Greasy.
Alrighty, so as I said in the beginning, say it again. I'm on YouTube. I've been C spacebar Greasy GREASY. You are going to see me. I do vlogs. I do anime conventions, public interviews, fitness, gaming, and digital entertainment. You're going to see me there. And I also have 130 motivational, inspirational type videos as well. Also educational. So that's me. You find me there. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Already. Okay, and Melinda, how about you?
No special shout outs. I'm not tech savvy, so I don't have any of that stuff. You want to know about me, want to meet me, it's in person.
I hear that. All right, how about you, Danny?
Well, first I just wanted to thank you for letting us all get on. I say get on the air, but just join for this discussion. It was a lot of fun, and but I don't have any types of I just got my Facebook, but can I just kind of plug our youth league?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to see because I'm the president of the Flower Bluff Youth Football League. We do basketball, volleyball, 3-on-3, tackle football, flag football, and I miss a sport that we just added. I'm a bad president, I guess, but if you guys want to come out, you want to put your kids in sports, and you live in the community, please put them there because that's one of the best things for youth is a little bit of structure, lots of good examples out there, and then it's just they're good mentors out there, and it brings the community together.
That you know what? I'm gonna take you up on the offer because I got 2 headaches I've been waiting to get rid of.
10 and 12.
Too.
Rob said he got some too.
I drop off the ibuprofen. But yes, that is definitely, you're right about that. We definitely need more of that, and I'm glad that we have somebody that's actually, y'all definitely tune into that. We're going to get up with you and get some more information so we can put it on our Facebook page and all over, so we can get some more. Hopefully we can get as many people as possible to join in. All right, Alexis, how about you? Anybody you want to give a shout out to? Anybody any business adventures that you want to chase down?
Yes, I would like to give a shout out to my best friend. She knows who she is. I'm giving her a shout out because she is the main reason that I am now on my journey of self-love and discovery and appreciation of my black side.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. Already, and Rob, what it is, man, you want to let everybody know where we could go hear that good blues music at?
Okay, well, check this out. Hold up. First, if you need any flooring done or HVAC, anything like that, don't do AC or heating, hit me up, let me know. Facebook, Roberto J. Howard. Just send me a messenger, little message, what's going on, what you need. I could fix your floors, fix your heating, and your air conditioning. And as far as the blues music, so I was just explaining to Erica that I had my house broken into. They stole all my amps and guitars. They're in the middle of working on a project. I just got financed and getting some more musical gear to finish my project. But I'll have content at Metal Mouth 74 on my YouTube page.
All right, Metal
And
Mouth
I appreciate
74.
you guys having me on. I love the discussion. And to the guy with the football team and the youth group, I definitely got a 7-year-old over here. I don't know what the age group is, but I got one for you.
He probably hit harder than the rest of them. Already, everybody, it was wonderful having y'all on, and I definitely want to thank y'all once again for taking time out of y'all busy days. I know how it is with everything that's going on right now. I couldn't feel more blessed than to have you all on right now. So I want to thank you all, and everybody else that's listening right now. You just got through listening to a great podcast about biracial living in the United States. So make sure y'all share this to all your family and friends. Maybe we can uplift some spirits and hopefully move forward. And we shouldn't be having this same conversation in 10 years. Let's just say that. We hopefully we're on a path to finalizing that off. But with that being said, I've got one more song for y'all after a word from our sponsor. And you all have a great night. Hit that like, subscribe, follow button on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, and more. And we are out. You know what it is. This is the
Revolutionary Hour. You ever seen someone do something so outrageous that you can't help but think? This stupid crazy situations happen all the time, and people get into situationships on a regular. So, what would you do if you were in their place? Check out our podcast as we discuss just that on What Would You Do podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and all your other favorite streaming services. Make sure to search hashtag What Would You Do podcast.
Radio. Negra Beats.
Scorp Beats.
Don't talk to him.
When I was down, ain't nobody give a shit. And now I'm on a nigga, gotta pay the rent. I done been there, I done done that ever since I was a kid. Said I always had ambition and my dreams was always big. You can do it. You can do it. Don't play no games with them. You can do it. Yeah, listen. You can do it. You can do it. If it's wrong, then make it right. You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it.
I see what it means to be stuck at the bottom. How the bit dropped in the cage with travesty hit it, and everybody just said drop 'em. I've been buried alive, left to suffer to die, but I swear to you, I never gave up. Niggas squirming on the ground, tell them stay down, but I found a way up. Ever since my mom passed, I wandered throughout the wilderness, and she your daily misses. I never get the miss, never got used to the awkwardness. I'm feeling deep down in my chest. Use it as a passion to drive to get up on the grind and try to make it out the gutter. Born in the dough, so all I ever had was the everlasting struggle till I get a come up. And I can't stop them. My oldest Naciel needs a house on 100 acres real quick. Joaquin needs his own business that will have him on all 7 continents making deal pics. Only thing broke will be the generation with curse. I won't leave my children living off worse. When cowards come to punch my ticket, then they got a brother leaving this right here in the hearse.
When I was down, ain't nobody give a shit. And now I'm on a nigga, gotta pay the rent. I done been there, I done done that ever since I was a kid. Said I always had ambition and my dreams was always big. You can do it. You can do it. Don't play no games with them. You can do it. Yeah, listen. You can do it. You can do it. If it's wrong, then make it right. You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it.
Fell from the top real hard, put in my work, you could call me Hustle God. Charged up like a cell phone, now it's on, so I'm guaranteed to make it to the top. Fell bad, let the fade blow away, took the ritter, stayed in with a bulldozer, made a new way. When you focus on success, it's the best design when it comes to your different mind states. Wait, patience was the key when it all fell down, had to understand that it wasn't in the plan. Goddamn, many hypocrites smiling as I fell, hoping that I break when I land. I couldn't see what I had was a pocket full of trash, as all the cowards they claimed to be my friend. Really hung around for the joy, never down for the boy, never wasn't even my fan. I get a dude won't believe their ass when I'm sober. Gotta focus on the spirit, getting a little colder. Everything I do is soda from the flow up. Had to own up and roll like a boulder. True soldier with a boss mind frame. No way I'ma play. Stop acting like you lame. I'm out of my business, doing me short. It's outside riding, staying in my lane. Baby.
When I was down, ain't nobody give a shit. And now I'm on a nigga, gotta pay the rent. I done been there, I done done that ever since I was a kid. Said I always had ambition and my dreams was always big. You can do it. You can do it. Don't play no games with them. You can do it. Yeah, listen. You can do it. You can do it. If it's wrong, then make it right. You can do it. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it.
BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio. BOSS Radio.